Hi everyone, it is good to be back to talk to y'all about books again this week. Um, Again, like I said last week, one of my favorite things to do is to connect people with books that I really hope that they will love. And since you can't come into the library and talk to the librarians about their recommendations, hopefully this will help point you in the right direction for some good reads. It's for grades 4 through 12. And so the first batch of books will be for grades 4 through 6. The second will be for 7 through 12, which is from our teen section. I do this every Thursday at 2 o'clock for the duration of Summer Reading Club, so for all of June and July. And speaking of Summer Reading Club, it is in full swing now, so please check out our website where it will direct you to download the Read Squared app. Our Summer Reading Club is all online this year. There's some really good prizes, some new prizes that are different than the ones last year, new grand prizes. And of course, we have the coupons to all the local businesses and everything, so definitely check out the website. Okay, I'm going to start off with two graphic novels from our grades 4 through 6 section. The first one is called Stargazing, and this one just came out this year, and it is a really, really beautiful story. So we've got Christine and Moon here, and Christine is she's kind of going along in life, and she's having an okay time, but then she meets Moon because Moon moves in next door, and Moon pretty much instantly becomes her best friend, and they have Moon really empowers her to sort of be artistic and creative and things like that. But then something kind of scary happens, and instead of Moon sort of being the supportive one, now Moon needs Christine to be the really supportive friend, and this is about their story. While it's not a graphic memoir, I mentioned last week that I love graphic memoirs. It is the scary thing that happened actually did happen to the author, and she talks a little bit about that at the end of the book. So it's pretty interesting. The author and illustrator is Jen Wang, W-A-N-G. So I do recommend checking that one out. The next one, this came out, I believe, just last year, and this graphic novel just cracked me up. This is another, we have it in fiction, but it is based on the author's life. She is Vera, she's the main character, and her family is Russian. And she feels pretty out of place in school and in her neighborhood. She lives with her mom and her brother, and they're pretty poor, and they don't have money for a lot of the things that her friends have money for, and that's pretty hard on her. One of the things she always wants to do is go to camp in upstate New York, because that's what everyone around her does every summer. And one year she finds out about a Russian camp, and the church that she goes to, the Russian Orthodox Church, is kind of the only place she really feels comfortable. And really feels at home, and like people kind of understand her. So when she finds out that there's this Russian camp, she thinks, oh, it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be wonderful, and oh, it's exactly where I belong, and these people will understand me, it'll be great. So she tells her mom about it. Her mom's real into it, and they save up money so that she can go for half of the sessions. And she goes, and it's totally not what she thought it would be like. So this is basically mostly about those 2 weeks at camp. And it is really funny. I laughed and laughed at this book. So yes, even though again it's not quite a graphic memoir, it is based on some of her experiences at Russian camp. All right, the next two books. This one, some of you may remember this book. It won the Newbery maybe 15 years ago. So it's a little older. But then it was also made into a movie, and both the book and the movie, they're a little different, but they're both really, really good. I highly recommend both. So Holes is a story about Stanley Yelnats, and Yelnats is actually Stanley spelled backwards. And Stanley, his whole family has been cursed since his grandfather, I think, stole some pigs back when he was a boy, and so he was cursed, and everybody in his family, all of his grandfather's descendants, they all have bad luck. So Stanley is sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time and is told he can either go to a juvenile detention center for a crime he actually didn't commit, but they think he did, or he can go to this sort of like a juvenile, it's like a ranch where kids sort of work, right? It's like a detention camp, I guess. And all they have to do all summer is dig holes. And they're like, why are we digging these holes? What is happening here? This is really weird. What is the story here? So they kind of try and figure out what's going on, what the holes are really all about. And so this is about that summer, digging holes, trying to figure out why they're doing it. This book is by Jason Reynolds. It's called Ghost. It's the first book in the Track series. It's a 4-book series. And it's about these 4 kids who are all on the same track team together. Ghost is the main character in this one. And this is about sort of, he's never been on a team before. He didn't even know track was a sport. And he sort of gets roped into joining the team by the coach, who sees him run as a way of sort of showing off to the kids who are actually on the team and running, because Ghost is really, really fast. So this is about his kind of becoming a runner, but it's of course about more than that too. Jason Reynolds is wonderful. He's written a lot of books for upper elementary and upper elementary, middle, and high school. And he's also the ambassador for young people's literature in the United States. And he's been doing a lot on social media too during this coronavirus time. So I recommend checking him out. Moving on to teen fiction, we have, this is a graphic novel. It's called Nimona. If you have seen on Netflix the recent reboot of She-Ra, called She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, the woman who is the showrunner and who is behind that all of that, the new She-Ra show, is the author and the creator of this book. She also is one of the people behind Lumberjanes, which is another really popular graphic novel series that you may have heard of or read. So this is about Nimona. It's really, this is also really, really funny. It is, Nimona is, she wants to be the sidekick of an evil villain, and she talks herself into becoming, or she talks the villain into becoming his sidekick. And their whole plot is to basically expose some of the people in power in their kingdom and show everybody that they're not really as good as they seem. So this is that story. And of course there are subplots, and they are hilarious, and I do recommend this book. The next book, it's actually a series that I'm going to recommend. And this book series, it's a graphic novel series, and it is another graphic memoir. And it is the story of John Lewis, who's a congressperson from, I believe, Alabama. And he's a current congressperson. He's a current congressman. And so this story, it's his story, written and illustrated by Andrew Aden and Nate Powell. And the third book, the whole story is the whole series is about his struggle, his activism during the civil rights movement. So a lot of it is set in the 60s. And the third book is really notable. I mean, you should read them in order, but the third book is very notable because it won the National Book Award, and it also won 4 other American Library Association awards the year that it came out. They're the ones that award the Newbery and the Caldecott. So it won 5 awards, and that's a pretty huge thing. Books it's usually kind of remarkable if a book wins 2 awards in a year, and this one won 5. So yes, excellent story, very good. And then the last book that we're going to talk about, one more. This is The Evolution of Jeremy Warsh, and this is actually written by someone who lived in Columbus and taught at the Upper Arlington schools for years. It doesn't live around here anymore, but wrote this story, and it's set in the late 90s. Jeremy is a high school student, and he's basically sort of trying to figure out figure out what's going on in his life. His best friend comes out as gay, which kind of inspires him to start drawing again, and exploring other parts of his identity that he hasn't really kind of admitted to. And so it's a great story, but it also has extra appeal for anyone who did actually grow up in the late 90s or early 2000s, because who was in high school at that time, so adults now, people my age, because there's a ton of nostalgia in there. So it's a great read for adults as well. It's in our teen section. And then this last book that I'm going to mention, I'm mentioning it because this is on my to-read list. I have not read it yet, which is, shame on me. But the second book just came out in the series, and it is an alternate history book that deals with a zombie apocalypse. So pretty interesting premise there. The second book just came out, and the series this one got a lot of acclaim when it came out. And I'm really excited to start reading this. But the second book came out and is getting really good reviews too. All right, so that wraps it up for my my book talks this week. So I hope you'll join me next Thursday at 2 o'clock, and I'll have another stack of good books to tell you about. All right, so be well.